What's going on there, YouTube? And welcome to Fresh Comic Stories. Guys, this is the channel where we basically sit down and cover different kinds of comic book stories. Guys, we usually jump back and forth between Marvel, DC, and even IDW. But guys, today we are going to jump over to Marvel once again, and we're going to pick up with Spider-Man Back in Black. Now, the reason why we are covering this storyline today is because, guys, years ago, when I got into comics, this was one of the first few stories I collected that were about Spider-Man. And let me tell you guys, even though I liked this book, honestly, I was a tad bit confused because I had no idea that this took place after Civil War. But anyways, guys, this storyline right here is, to me, still a pretty good story. And so I'm hoping you guys will like this story as well. So please hit that like button down below and also subscribe for more comic book stories in the near future. But guys, let's dive into Spider-Man Back in Black. So when it comes to Back in Black, it was a story arc that took place right after Civil War, but it was, to me, the middle phase of having Spider-Man marriage end. What I mean is that Marvel was planning to break up Mary Jane and Peter Parker back in the early 2000s because they felt like the stories would be better, and plus the marriage was something that was killing the content for Spider-Man. And so what they did was they used 3 stories to kind of get everything together to break down the marriage. So you had Civil War started off, which Back in Black picks up right after that. And then you had One More Day, which in that story, you saw the end of the marriage. And so what happened in Civil War? Iron Man asked Peter Parker to tell the world who he was, to tell the world that Spider-Man was Peter Parker, because Iron Man was on the side to basically say, listen, heroes should be registered by S.H.I.E.L.D. And so he used Peter Parker as an example to say, look, even if you tell the world who you are, even if you tell them that you are a superhero, nothing bad will happen. Well, of course, that did not happen, because as soon as Peter Parker told the world, hey, listen, I am Spider-Man, you had all these different supervillains come after Peter and his family. And so at the end of Civil War, we saw that basically Aunt May got shot by a sniper. Of course, with Aunt May being shot by a sniper, you have Peter Parker do 2 things which really make sense. One, tries to take out the sniper or at least slow him down so he can't do any more harm. Secondly, use his spider powers to get Aunt May to the nearest hospital before she bleeds out. Since Peter Parker is a wanted man, he just can't walk in with her. He had to break in through the window of an empty room and make enough noise so the hospital staff knows that someone is in there bleeding out, and kind of leaves a message saying, hey, listen, her name is May Riley. Now we do jump over to a quick 2-page setting over at a prison, and we pick up with the guard giving a message over to the Kingpin, aka Wilson Fisk, who is locked up right now in this prison. But we come to find out that he was the one who actually set everything up to get Aunt May shot, because Spider-Man has been a pain in Kingpin's side over the years, and he wants to get revenge against Spider-Man. And so what he did, he basically hired a sniper to shoot Aunt May. Now, we jump back over to Peter Parker, who goes back to the scene of the crime to figure out who was the sniper and where can he find him. Now remember, Peter Parker did not catch the sniper, just made sure he could not fire another shot so he can get Aunt May to the hospital. But he goes back to the scene of the crime and he finds the scope of the sniper, which is the only clue he can go on. But what he does next, he goes to find the gun dealer and start to question him on where he can find the guy who might have used this gun. But the gun dealer Peter Parker is interrogating says there's only a few people that has this scope because it is hard to get in the States. But to get this kind of scope, you have to get from a different gun dealer. And so he gives Peter Parker a name that of course we do not see in this chapter. But to close off this chapter, you have Peter go to a random building to find his black suit. Now this is not the black suit like Venom. Remember, Peter got rid of that suit, which led to Eddie Brock becoming Venom. But after he did that, Peter actually went on to make a second black suit out of clothing material. But Peter got rid of this suit because it was giving a message of a darker Spider-Man. And Peter did not like giving that message out. And so he got rid of this one as well. But Peter feels like with someone trying to kill his aunt, he put the black suit back on once again because now he might kill someone. He is officially going to be a darker Spider-Man. The second chapter opens up with Peter getting information from Mary Jane about Aunt May's condition, which of course she tells Peter that the doctors are saying she might not make it. The machine is the only thing keeping her alive at this moment. And if the machine don't help her get her body back to a point where she can survive without the machine, there is no point keeping them on. They might have to turn the machine off and to let her die. Now we jump forward to Peter basically going on the hunt for this special gun dealer. It is the only lead he has to find the sniper who basically shot Aunt May, which of course he finds the gun dealer very quickly. Now remember, Peter Parker has gone dark, and so he is saying things and doing things Peter would not really do to get information. And so he is questioning this man for the sniper's name, and he gets the name Jake Martino. And you have Peter Parker do some detective work to find out where this man lives, in which Peter is able to find the apartment of the sniper. But when he gets there, the dude is already gone. Lucky for Peter, the landlord tells Peter that he literally just left and he is trying to catch a train. So with that information, Peter runs to the subway station to catch up with Jake Martino, which of course he does find Jake and tries to capture him, which does lead to a little subway battle between the two parties. But it's Spider-Man going against a regular dude, which leaves Peter overpowering him. Now Peter starts to question this man on why in the world did he shoot Aunt May? Who was the man to hire him? Now we know it was the Kingpin, but before Jake is able to say anything at all, that is when another sniper takes this man out before he is able to speak about anything. Now Peter does not chase after the new sniper. He throws a spider tracer as a way to catch up with him later on, because his goal is to see if Jake lives to tell him what he wants to hear. Now after all of that had happened, you do have Peter kind of run away, but you didn't have the paramedics come in to take Jake to the nearest hospital. But you do have Peter ride on the ambulance hoping that, hey, Jake will survive. Jake will not die from that sniper wound. And so he does get a free ride to the hospital. But once he arrives to the hospital, you do have Peter Parker change back into his regular day clothes and he sneak into the hospital to check up on Aunt May first. Now, of course, you do have Mary Jane tell Peter once again, she's gonna die. That basically she's on her deathbed right now. She is going to die. But that is when you have Peter Parker get word that Jake Martino, the guy he was chasing originally, the original sniper, had died. That the sniper wound basically killed the man. He is now gone. And so Peter has to rely on a new game plan. But that is when his spider sense goes off. Now guys, at this point in Marvel Comics, Peter Parker had his spider sense kind of linked up to his spider tracer. And so anytime he has to find somebody later on, that spider tracer will send a connection to his spider sense. And so right now, his spider sense is going off. It's telling him, hey, listen, the guy you're looking for is here right now. And so, of course, Peter Parker walks outside and he finds the new sniper just like that. But the thing is, the new sniper is on the phone with the Kingpin to tell the Kingpin, yes, I did kill the last sniper. And that's when Peter Parker comes from behind, picks up the new sniper by the neck, grabs the phone, and he says, who is this? And that is when Peter finds out it is the Kingpin. Now, when it comes to the third chapter, you have Peter talk on the phone with the Kingpin for a hot second. It is him basically saying that he will come after the Kingpin, that he will make the Kingpin pay for what he did. And so he hangs up the phone on the Kingpin and starts to torture the man who works for the Kingpin, because he wants to know everything on why did the Kingpin do this. Which the obvious answer is because the Kingpin does not like Spider-Man at all. And so that is why. But you have Peter Parker make a statement that he is going to go after the Kingpin and try to end this nonsense. Now, for the Kingpin, after the phone call was done with Peter Parker, he basically calls in the same guard who we saw earlier. And he tells him, listen, you can have all this money that I had hidden in my cell with me, but I want you and your fellow guard buddies to leave the prison for the night. I want you guys to leave because I'm going to have company coming in soon, and I want this prison ready to greet him. And so you have the guard leave and basically let the Kingpin out of his cell. But he also gives the Kingpin his iconic white suit that he always wears. Now you have the guard also open up all the cells because when Spider-Man comes to fight against the Kingpin, he wants an audience. He wants all of the people in the prison to see a hero lose to him. It will give him that credibility of being able to defeat a hero with just his bare hands. Which, of course, when the Kingpin does finish getting ready for Spider-Man, Spider-Man arrives when he walks in, and he is confronted by the Kingpin. Now, this is the chapter where you have Spider-Man and the Kingpin fight. Now, this is not your usual battle between a hero and a villain, where they go back and forth. Instead, what you get here is Peter beating the living crap out of the Kingpin. Like, Peter is not playing around when it comes to this moment. Like, you have the Kingpin walk up to Peter thinking that all of this is funny and thinking he's about to have some epic battle with Spider-Man. But Peter's like, nope, this man is not playing around with the Kingpin. Peter is not holding back his punches at all. He is letting the Kingpin feel every single ounce of his powers, because for Peter, the Kingpin had just crossed the line with trying to kill Aunt May. Now, you would think Peter would possibly kill off the Kingpin for what he did, but he does not do that. Instead, what he does, he starts to talk to the Kingpin about his punishment. He tells the Kingpin that with him being beaten down right here in this prison by him in front of all of these prisoners, that hurts the Kingpin's credibility, because this is the Kingpin. People are usually scared of the Kingpin in this city. But now with him being defeated by Spider-Man, you will have people start to question the power of the Kingpin, because this man put the fear in people, but they are watching the Kingpin basically beg for Spider-Man to stop beating down on him. Which, of course, you have people like, well, dang, this man is a chump now. And you have Spider-Man say one last thing. He says, for now, he will not kill the Kingpin, but if Aunt May dies, then he'll come back and make sure to kill off the Kingpin. But it's him making the Kingpin worry about Spider-Man coming back to kill him off. Now, the 5th chapter focuses all on Aunt May because Kingpin has been handled. He is beaten and still locked up in prison, and so Peter can only focus on Aunt May and hope to find some kind of way for her to survive. But here comes another problem for Peter, which involves the police once again, because the hospital called the police because when Aunt May appeared, she randomly appeared in the room bleeding out, mainly because Peter brought her in through a window and left her there. But moments later, Mary Jane walked in the hospital claiming to be the niece of Aunt May and has been paying the hospital in cash. Plus, Mary Jane has not really explained what happened to Aunt May. She's been changing her story a lot about what happened. And so all of that led the hospital to believe something is strange about all of this. And so the police station sent in a detective to get the 411 on everything. Which, of course, the detective gets there and starts to question the staff of the hospital to get some more information on this situation. But then you have the detective walk over and start to question Mary Jane, which of course you have Mary Jane trying her best to give him some kind of story to throw him off and he can just leave. But there's too much that had happened, and the way she is trying to explain everything, he does not believe her at all. And he is all like, nope, must handcuff you to the door and try to figure out what is going on here. Now you do have Peter Parker jump in and knock the guy out and break Mary Jane free from the handcuffs. But now he has to move Aunt May to a different hospital because there is too much heat now, and sooner or later more policemen will come, and that would make things even worse than it is now. And so what Peter does is that he goes to find an ambulance to steal that is not stationed anywhere near the hospital, bring it there, change clothes to look like he is a paramedic. Then he had Mary Jane trick the nurses with an emergency to get a form where it basically says there was a request to move Aunt May to a different hospital. Which this is him breaking the law so many different ways. But again, he does not have a choice here. He wants to save the life of Aunt May, and so he has to do this. He has to move her, and with the form in hand and sneaking Aunt May out of the hospital, he drives the ambulance over to a different hospital, and since he has the form all filled out, he was able to drop her off at a different hospital, which then closes the story and leads into one more day. And so guys, we are going to end today's video. So guys, please leave me a like down below. Also, subscribe for more comic book stories in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well, let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'm out of here, and I'll see you on the next comic book video. Later, guys.